thank you all for coming out tonight. As everybody knows, it's a warm voter, it's the best voter. And we appreciate you coming out and vetting this commissioner's race for this. But it's not. Thank you all for coming
Okay,
out.
I'm sorry. Up. Okay. Now we'll start over again. Once again, thank you all for coming tonight. On behalf of the Sagamore News Media, the paper of Montgomery County, and the Weekly, we want to welcome you all to your attendance tonight. And we want to inform everybody that we're broadcasting on the web. So this is going out across the world. I know we'll potentially have at least 100 million viewers this evening, besides those that we have here in the audience. I'm Senator Phil Boots. I'll be the moderator for tonight. And before we begin, we need to thank some people. First, I want to thank everybody at the paper of Montgomery County. It's the sponsoring entity for this evening's debate, and it's done this for a few years now. And so we appreciate the fact that there's a local newspaper that's interested in what's going on locally. We want to especially thank Principal Greg Hunt for allowing us to use these facilities tonight. We want to thank our candidates for agreeing to participate in this debate, and also for their participation in the political process, stepping up and making their commitments to the people of Montgomery County. And most importantly, we want to thank you, the audience, once again, for whether you're live or on the web or here at home. And we want to once again, I said this earlier, but I appreciate the fact that you're willing to inform yourself on what the issues are for this race. There's going to be some rules for this evening's debate. There were 5 questions given to the candidates previous to this evening. At least 2 of those questions will be asked, so they know what those questions are. There's other questions that have been prepared by our paper staff, and some of those were submitted by readers of the paper. You in the audience can also ask questions if you will. I think there's paper, and our lovely assistants down here will run and get those. And so if you have an opportunity, just fill out a piece of paper and ask your question. They'll bring it up to me, and we will ask that question. Those of you who are on the web and are not, they're not here tonight, you can text your message or your question to the area code 317-773-0839. Once again, that's 317-773-0839. So if you're watching on the web and you have a question, just text this to us and we'll get that put into the agenda. And you in the audience, if that's what you'd like to do, you can text that as well. You don't have to fill out paper. We're green tonight. We're not using any paper, so that's a good thing. Time limits. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to give an opening statement. We flipped a coin this evening, and Jim Fullwater will be the first person to give an answer or opening statement. Then, when we have questions, they'll have 2.5 minutes to answer the question, and the opposite candidate will have an opportunity of 2.5 minutes to rebut that, or 2.5 minutes to answer the question, 2 minutes to rebut it, and then when we get finished, we'll have a 3-minute closing statement for each one, and we'll alternate who gives the closing statement. I will be the timekeeper, and I will stop you when you have exceeded the time limit. And so we just the small rules for the audience. We don't want any applauding, no booing, no cheering. We ask for you to be respectful for the candidates, and that's what we'll do. So now it's time to get started. With that said, we'll let Commissioner Fullwater go first.
Good evening. I would like to start tonight by thanking the paper of Montgomery County for hosting the debate and thanking each and every one of you for taking time out of your schedule to come out tonight. I am running for re-election for County Commissioner and look forward to the opportunity to continue to build on several great things that we have done and are currently working on in our community. I've been married to my wife, who is in attendance with me tonight, for 27 years. We have 2 grown adult daughters. My oldest, Kyla Maxey, is with us tonight, and then I have my daughter, Kara Fulwider, is a senior at DePaul University. And we are looking to have our first grandchild in March of 2015, so that'll be an addition to the family. I've been employed by the Crawfordsville Fire Department for 20 years and currently serve as the Deputy Chief for the last 3 years. I've enjoyed following local government for the last several years. I really decided I want to become more involved in my community after attending and graduating from Montgomery County Leadership Academy in the fall of 2003. I also served as your county council for 6 years, from 2005 to 2010. Served as president for 2 years and was on the budget committee for 5 years. As a resident that was born here and lived here for over 45 years, I want to see our community continue to progress more in the future. Being re-elected as your county commissioner, I will continue to work with the county council and various department heads, as well as other government agencies, to continue to make good decisions for the citizens of Montgomery County. I have a desire to make our county a better place to live, work, and raise our families. I enjoy serving local government and strive to make this happen for not only our current people and current generations, but all the future generations too. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fulwider. Mr. Burns?
My name is Patrick Burns, and I have been a resident of Montgomery County since 1960, and it's my pleasure to be a candidate for the position of County Commissioner. I'd like to thank the people who signed my petition this last May and made it possible for me to become a candidate. And I'd like to thank the paper of Montgomery County for putting this event on and giving the public a chance to learn more about the candidates. Senator Phil Booth for taking time out of his schedule to help us, and Jim Fulwider for participating in Crawfordsville School, of course, for the facility. Also, we thank everybody for coming out tonight. My goal is at the end of this event is for the citizens that are going to be casting their vote in November to be well aware of the clear choice that they will have for this position of commissioner. I have never been one to pursue public office. I became concerned about an issue about a year and a half ago of the county zoning. And I became aware that the ballot this fall was going to only have one person on the ballot with one position on that issue. And so therefore I had some friends that helped me get the names on the petition, and we were able to get me to become a candidate. And following that initial concern, I dug deeper into the current issues of the county and have been able to develop at least my opinion of what I think the direction is we're going, and whether or not we want to continue to keep going in that same direction. I hope that as a result of the questions tonight that we will touch on all those issues and the opportunity will be made to understand my positions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. Okay, we get started with questions. We'll start with an easy one that was sent to them. What role do you feel the commissioner should have in economic development of Montgomery County? And we'll start with Mr. Burns.
Well, I think the commissioners have a central role in economic development. They already are supporting a few various groups that are involved in that process. But I think the main focus of the commissioners is to provide the infrastructure under which that development can occur. the roads, the bridges, the facilities in the courthouse. I think that good, efficient working government is the foundation on which all things can prosper. And that is, I feel, where they really need to focus their attention. I think that once those things are all in place, which we actually are pretty close to being in pretty good shape with those, that the foundation is there for business to thrive. I don't think building a building that has nothing in it and hoping a company will come and buy it is the way to achieve the end result. I don't think you can create an illusion that success is here. I think you work with the realities that we have and make them the strongest they can possibly be.
Thank you, Mr. Fuller.
Thank you.
Thank you. Roles I think that the commissioner should have in economic development is there should be several parts to this. Obviously, my most, starting out with the first answer to that would be is I think that they have to be involved in all steps of it. From the start to the end. For the first time in the last 3 years is the first time I can say that I feel pretty comfortable as being involved in county government that we have the city of Crawfordsville and Montgomery County both participating in one entity looking for the same objectives in the same ways. In the past we've had we've had the county agencies and we've had the city agencies trying to do different things on their own using different resources. 3 years ago we had designed a plan and a timeline for Montgomery County economic development that was presented to both levels of government. It was presented at the city council, it was presented at the mayor's office, county commissioners, and county council. And I'm happy to sit here tonight to say that passed all voting records with a unanimous decision, no dissenting votes by anybody. And I think in the last 3 years we've had a lot of production and a lot of progress in that area with the timelines that were laid out. We continue to move forward in those areas and continue to work with Montgomery County Economic Development, with the city of Crawfordsville to make things happen. You know, when people come in, they not only want to talk to the people at Montgomery County Economic Development about what we have to offer and about filing RFPs and stuff with their companies, but they also want to talk to the people that's involved. They want to talk about what the commissioners have, what the mayor has, and they want to hear from them as well as from the people at the economic development. So I think there's a role in that aspect. I too agree that we do have to, one of our biggest duties, and you'll probably hear a lot about tonight, I would think, is the fact that we do have to build the infrastructure and the facilities that make that possible. I'm proud to say that I think our county sets very strong in some of the infrastructure areas, such as our bridges and some of our roads in Montgomery County. Yes, we have some roads in Montgomery County that we need to continue to work on. That is a area of the infrastructure that just doesn't quit. When you have the amount of road miles that we have and the limited funds we have to deal with, it's an ongoing process to make that happen. So I think we've had some good productions in some of those areas. We got work to continue to do, but I do agree that is a huge factor in the commissioner's play in it as well.
Thank you, Mr. White. Did you want to rebut that, Mr. Burns? No. You might want to leave your microphones on because it's a delay to get started. So, next question that I would like to ask is we started out with the role of commissioners in economic development in Montgomery County. How would you measure the success of the economic development effort in Montgomery County? What do you think should be the goals or the parameters that would make you think that it's either successful or it's failed? So we'll start with Mr. Fuller.
You know, I think that's pretty easy to answer, especially as I said, in the last 3 years, we have put a plan and a timeline in place of what we want to see from economic development. But the two things that stick in my mind in measuring them successes is the activity that we have that goes through the offices of the mayors and commissioners and also of Montgomery County Economic Development. I think that's one way to measure success. We're seeing some attraction, we're seeing some activity that we haven't seen in the past for quite some time, so I think that's one way to measure success. And number two is although maybe we haven't seen we have seen areas of new development and new companies come into the community, but also I think that you can look in some of the areas of what we've had to add as far as some of the facilities that we currently have that are already employing people and adding additional jobs to Montgomery County. Our unemployment rate continues to decrease in Montgomery County, and we're very proud of that, but we think we have more work to do in those areas. There is jobs available in Montgomery County too, so the fact is we have to get the people and the qualified people that have the ability to go out and fill some of those jobs. That's some of the issues that we have in some of those areas, but I think you measure success by what you've seen from the current companies, and then also again from what we see with the activity that comes through the offices at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Fuller. Mr. Burns?
I think you measure the success by the standard of living that's created in the community in the long-term end. The short term is you measure success by the construction activity and the people that are interested in coming to our town to start businesses, and people already here who want to expand them. I work at Random House, and I work there as fork truck driver. And I'm able, almost on a bi-weekly basis right now, to see people being hired in, young people particularly, and start their jobs. And I tell you, they couldn't be more thrilled to be able to see that they're getting a job. It is definitely something that people could feel proud about if they had any part whatsoever in helping that to occur. As to who we could say tipped the scale and made it happen, it's hard to say, because I think Random House itself had a desire at the time to keep this facility operating. I think that the employees who work there and the hard work they do on a daily basis has created a good reputation within their network. And so I think it's something that has happened and good for the community on many levels. And I have had the opportunity to work in several different locations around town through my years, and I've found that to be true in every place I've worked. The Montgomery County workforce is second to none. I don't think we need to feel shy about saying that we are one of the best workforces there is for a company to have. I don't know anybody who I work with who's not a hard worker, and I don't know anybody who's not capable of learning and the skills of job advancement. So I oftentimes hear people say that we have a flaw in our education system and in our people that we're turning out. I'm afraid that in the past few years we've only had a flaw in the opportunities for them once they get done with school. And so therefore I am very eager to see any type of development occur. As I said earlier, I'm just not interested in the type where it's not a reality, where it's more of an illusion.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. Did you have a rebuttal, Mr.
Yeah.
Fuller?
I would just want
You just think you're, try.
One, you can't leave them on too long, I guess, Phil, or did it work?
Shut down the room.
I guess the only thing I would add to that, and I totally agree with Patrick in the aspect that the companies do have a choice whether they maintain here. We've actually been familiar with a couple of them that have the opportunity to decide whether they want to continue here and expand here, or whether they want to move elsewhere. And it is the company's choice. But it is the fact that those companies do meet with the people they need to meet with and the leaders in the community, whether it's economic development, whether it's the mayor's office or what, to work through them and do the things that need to be done to assist to get them people to stay here. So they do have a choice, and we appreciate that they make the choice to stay here and do their expansions here. But there is a lot of work that goes on behind the scene that a lot of people don't realize to help the companies out to make those things happen.
Thank you, Mr. Fuller. Do you have a rebuttal, Mr. Burns?
One thing I guess I would like to just mention here about the Montgomery County Economic Development Committee is I think that they've been in existence for about 13 years, and I'm not sure that they can actually factually prove that they have done an awful lot to this point. I think they have gotten their feet on the ground at this point and are in a position to potentially do more, but that is yet to be determined if that would be the reality as we move forward.
Thank you. Next question I have here is, there's been a lot of discussion, this is one of the questions that was given to you previously. A lot of discussion in the last few months about improving the courthouse, the parking lot, et cetera. And how would you respond? What do you think is going to proceed, or how would you go forward with that project? I believe Mr. Fulmer is first.
Yeah, you're right. There has been a lot of work going into that for, I think the question said the last few months. What most people don't realize, there's been a lot of work going into that for the last 18 to 20 months. And it all started with some issues and some changes that we're looking to make in the security issues within our courthouse. As seeing the sheriff said here down in front, we've been working on this as the commissioners, the sheriff, and a group for about 18 months now, as far as trying to work to move forward in our security issues. And a lot of the things that happen often when you do things. And one thing that we've found in the security issues is we're making some changes in the courthouse. By the way, you'll enter the courthouse and some things in that aspect, which triggers a lot more of the things that we have to do due to ADA compliance. So a lot of the work on the exterior of the courthouse is going to be required work. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's all required because of ADA, because that's not true. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm in favor of everything that's talked about, because that's not true either. I've made my steps knowing that I am very much in favor of doing what we have to do to make that facility as secure and safe as we can for the people that are using it and the people that work there and the people that are in and out of there on a daily basis. I'm also very much in favor of doing what we have to do to make it ADA compliance, to make it accessible for everybody that needs to go in and out of that building, and whatever that may be. There is some areas of the, what I would refer to more of the beautification side, which I personally have spoken very loudly, I think, in my opinion, that there's some of those that I'm not in favor of. If we were sitting here today with an endless pot of money and had nothing else to spend it on, sure, I'm in favor of saying let's just do it all and spend it, get it all to look like we need to. I do think we need to do some changes to it to make it look a little better on the outside, and then obviously with the changes we make as far as the ADA compliance and security, we'll also make some things that has to be done in those aspects. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I know a cost on that, because we don't. We're still working. That is a work that's still in progress as far as on the exterior. We have a lot of the interior stuff done as far as the security, but the stuff on the exterior is still in the works and will be for another few months. But this is not a process that has been taken lightly, and it's not a process that's been moved forward quickly. As I said, a good 18 to 20 months we've been working on this in meeting to try to move the things forward that we need to do for the courthouse as far as security, ADA compliance. So,
Thank you, Mr. Fulmer. Mr. Burns?
Yeah, this is really a twofold question. One has to do with security, and the other one has to do with the building of the parking lot. The security side of it, accessibility side of it do tie together, and there's no doubt that both of those are very legitimate concerns and fall directly under the responsibility of the commissioners to maintain a safe working environment for everybody in the courthouse and to have it be accessible for everybody. There's no doubt in my mind that that's a central primary responsibility. The plan for this project is available on the county website, and I would encourage everybody to take a look at the plan so that they can for themselves see what is in mind. The property next to the courthouse was initially purchased to be a space that some expansion could occur in the case that the courthouse needed to have an annex. And therefore, it seems to me wise to keep that space versatile and not spend a lot of money on it that could need to be torn out later. They had a gravel area. The thing's been an eyesore basically from the beginning. In some ways, it was an eyesore when the buildings over there began to deteriorate. So tearing the buildings down didn't really help the eyesore, and it's only been perpetuated. So it is good that the county commissioners are looking for a solution to that. I think that to keep the space versatile, I like the idea of lawn, grass space. It can be used in a lot of different ways. It doesn't cost a lot to maintain. Later, when it's time to build an annex, it's easy to replace. I don't see a parking lot being an asset to the community. Can't really do much in a parking lot, tripping over barriers of different kinds. It's only for parking cars. And the cars that will be parked there will primarily be the employees of the courthouse. It is nice to think that they'd have a convenient place to park, but does the county need to spend? In the end, it'd be close to $1 million for free parking for the employees. We could give them quite a chunk of money and just let them pay for some space. You know, we could buy space in an existing lot much cheaper than that. So I feel the issue is quite up in the air and needs to be addressed from the ground up.
Mr. Burns, did you have a rebuttal? Mr. Colwell?
Yeah.
A couple things on that aspect. One, I guess the other thing I failed to probably mention about this that is in my ideas is a must to push forward and look into. We also have some issues with when as Mr. Burns referred to, when that was first purchased back in probably 2002 area time frame, that it was a stone parking lot for a while, and then we also had in the past where they went in and laid asphalt over the top and made it a paved lot, but they did not abide by some of the things that they had that should have been done as far as our stormwater issues. And we do have some issues with stormwater in that area, and the fact the amount of water we're pushing into the city storm sewers is causing the city issues down the way. Now, is the Montgomery County parking lot the only thing that's causing an issue downtown? Absolutely not. But once again, when I talk about we have things that we do that triggers other problems that have to be fixed, and that's one that with a changes being made in that area, then that does have to be addressed at that time. So that's one other issue that is what in my opinion is a must to look into. And I totally believe too that we're looking at what I consider the entryway into our city from three directions: from the north, from the east, and from the west. When you get into the downtown area, and I do believe that it does need to look nice. I'm not going to sit here, as I said a few minutes ago, and tell you that I believe we need to spend, if you want to get down to technical terms, $775,000 at the actual plan presented. And as Mr. Burns refers to on the website, you're going to see the whole plan to what it was drawn up to the top end to be. As I said here, I told you that's not something that I'm in favor of moving forward with every aspect of that, but I do think those are one issue. Number two, I totally agree that yes, that parking lot is used by a lot of the employees, but I guess I would challenge you to drive downtown and try to find areas in existing parking lots that's in the area that's close by that can be used. There's not a lot of them down there for the number of people that work in the courthouse. So those are two things too that we also got to take into consideration in that.
Thank you, Mr. Fullwater. Did you have a rebuttal, Mr. Burns? No. Okay. Following up on that question has been asked. Other businesses do not have the ability to provide free parking, or at least downtown, for their employees. Do you think it's proper that this, or necessary that the county provide free parking for their employees? Mr. Burns?
Yes and no. Answer to that would be no.
I need the microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Such a short answer, I almost didn't think I needed to push my microphone. The answer is no, I do not think we need to provide free parking for the employees. I think they're on the same level as all the other employees for finding where to park the cars.
Mr. Fullwater?
First of all, I start out by saying that doesn't provide free parking for all the county employees. That's only a portion of what works in the courthouse and what comes and goes throughout the day. Number two, I guess my answer to that would be, I don't have a problem with it being set up as it does. I think sometimes we have to reevaluate maybe the number of spaces that's available for the general public to come in and out, and whether we leave enough in those. We have the spots that are available for handicap, and then we have visitor spots that are available for people coming to and from the courthouse to do business, as well as there is some on-street parking, but not a lot of it. My other comment to that is I can't think of anybody in the downtown area that employs as many people that work in that courthouse that have to find a place to park either. So to me, that's a different issue.
Thank you. Mr. Burns, do you have anything additional? No? Okay, thank you. Well, one of the other questions that was proposed to you previously, and we'll start with that. How do you stand on planning and zoning in Montgomery County? Mr. Fuller, you're first.
That's neat.
Go ahead.
That's an easy answer for me. I've answered it for the last 10 years. I think every time I talk to anybody or have any type of debates on it, my personal opinion is I do think that planning and zoning would be a huge impact in Montgomery County as far as from the economic development standpoint. However, I do understand that it's not a clear-cut response from the community of what people want as far as in Montgomery County. I think in the debate back in the spring, I think I clarified that very clearly, despite the fact that I read some letters to the editors after it was over of people trying to rephrase what I said and to me to not come out anything like what I said. I sat here tonight and tell you, I do think it's a benefit to Montgomery County, but I am here to represent the people of Montgomery County, and until I have a clear-cut decision of what I think that the majority of the people of Montgomery County want, to me, I described it as one small piece of the pie. We have so much more going on in this community that I'm not going to get caught up and held up on one issue. If we don't have a clear-cut decision that this is what the people of Montgomery County want, I got plenty of other things to work and spend my time on and try to make things happen in this county to let one issue, drag us down. So, as I said, as a personal opinion, yes, I do believe it would be a benefit to us, but I'm not caught up on the whole planning and zoning thing that so many people in this county seem to think is being the sole issue, and the only reason that people want to get involved is because of one issue. We have a lot of issues in Montgomery County, and we need to address them all, so that's where I stand on it.
Thank you, Mr. Fuller. Mr. Burns?
I am against zoning. I see zoning as collectively everybody in the county giving up a big segment of their individual property rights in order to allow somebody else to define how the property is used within the county. If you have a central planner who feels he is wiser and has better ideas than everybody else, then he's going to want to pursue that path of saying, yeah, I think this ought to be here and that should be there, and the houses that we have should look like this or that. And most of the counties that have zoning have about 300 or 400 pages of rules and regulations, and I'll guarantee you that there'll be one of those rules that you'll be unhappy with if we ever get zoning. There is no compensation given to owners when they have their rights. They actually don't sign them away, the county takes them away. County commissioners can, by a vote of 2 to 1, create zoning, and then we have it. I think it's very important that we, as much as I respect Jim Fullwater, as much as I appreciate what he's done for our county, I think it's very important that we keep the county from ever being zoned. We're one of the last holdouts in the state, and almost on a national level. City of Houston, Texas, and us have that in common, that we do not think zoning is the way to approach moving forward in time. Anybody who has a aspiration to own property, or anybody who actually has been able to achieve owning property, I don't understand why they would want to relinquish any of their property rights. There's other mechanisms, ordinances. We have about 300 pages of ordinances, I believe, in our county. And within those, there's all the rules we need. There's all kinds of ways of setting up control over how pieces of property are used in the future, and we do not need zoning to accomplish it.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. Do you have a response? Okay, thank you. Another question that we have, well, we didn't previously submit to you, but the question is, what do you see as the biggest problem or issue facing Montgomery County today? And how would you address it? I think Mr. Burns, your first one.
Probably my idea of what our biggest problem is currently is one that has been self-made by ourselves, and that is coming up with an approach on how to move forward with economic development. I'm afraid that we have, that idea is a legitimate idea, and it's a valuable idea, but there's a great deal of talk when you're around this topic of creating an illusion, a good impression that this is a successful place. And by creating that illusion and that impression, success will soon follow. I feel we have a lot of success within our space already. I think that we only need to showcase it, and I think that we need to provide the undergirth to support this development, which is a central part of what county government is all about anyway. I'm afraid we're getting our heads turned, thinking we're going to have this prosperity as a result of just trying to make it happen. An example is, we have theater, we have arts, we have all kinds of things in the city that are supported by various foundations. And those things can't support themselves. There's not enough money in the tickets or in the sales of things to keep those going. And so the community foundations support those, the volunteer groups do, because they see value in that. And that's exactly what their role is in our community, that is a proper role. It's not the role of county government to help a business survive, to bolster up a business just because you'd like to have that type of business for people to see when they drive into town.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. Mr. Fullwiler?
I can answer it pretty short, but I'm not going to let you off that easy with just a one-word answer. The biggest problem that we see facing Montgomery County, I can describe it in one word. It's called revenue. And I think we all understand that. In 2005, when I came on the county council, was just kind of what I seen was the starting time frame of that. But you get into 2006, 7, and 8, and even 9, we saw a lot of declining revenue in Montgomery County. A lot less funds to try to do the same services that people, and I say that, the people want us to provide for them. I asked that question on many occasions while I sat on the county council of, what do you want to do? What do you not want to have? What service do you want to do away with if you don't think that everything's necessary? We have declining revenue. We have to make some cuts in areas. And I'm happy to say that I never really got a good, clear-cut answer from anybody in that aspect, because nobody wants to do away with any type of services that's provided. So revenue is the biggest answer to that. And what I think is the resources or the ways to address it is, I think that we talked a little bit about a couple of them tonight, and I'll repeat them again, and you're going to read them in the newspaper again when you read my profile stuff. It is economic development, it is job creation, job retention, infrastructure to make that happen. And the other one is the cooperation and consolidation of government units. We have to get together to do what we can to save each and every one of the units the money we can save. I am very happy tonight to sit here and tell you that not only in other areas, but one area I'm very proud to say I've taken part in for the last 16, 18, 20 months is 5 entities. And in 10 years of being involved in county government, I've never had 5 entities sit down at the table at any one time and come together in one issue. And in January of 2014, we started a combined clinic for the employees that included Montgomery County, the city of Crawfordsville, and all 3 school corporations in this county. It's going to be, over time, it's going to be a huge asset and a huge savings to all the entities involved. Not only in cost to the employees, or what it costs as far as seeing a doctor or getting medicine if you're sick or this or that, but over time, and we've already seen in the first year this take place, but not to the issues of what we, not to the magnitude of what we want, is decreased revenue, decreased premiums in our health insurance. So I'm very happy that that's just one example of what I'm talking about. We've had a lot of work with the city of Crawfordsville over the last 3.5 years, and very proud to be a part of that. And I'm not by any way, shape, or form saying that it's only the city of Crawfordsville. I'm willing to go out and work with anybody in Montgomery County if it's going to save us money, and that's what we got to do.
Thank you, Mr. Fuller. Mr. Burns, do you have a response?
Yes,
I want to personally commend Jim for the work he has done with that clinic, and it is an asset, and it's a great accomplishment. I don't have the statistics in front of me right here. I guess I left them away, but in 2012, the Indianapolis Star did a study of all the counties in the state, ranked them for the ones that were most taxed per capita. And Montgomery County came in either 7th or 8th from the top. I should be able to tell you exactly, but it was up near the top. And so when it comes to revenue, our county would love to have more money to spend. Apparently we have maybe more money than we should have if we were that high up. And so therefore, the solution in the future is to really look hard for ways to save money and to reduce spending. If I'm in there, I'll be asking all the department heads to please see what they can do about sharing employees or reducing staff. I'll be trying to pull back as much as I can on any spending that is not able to be documented as being successful. And I will be, it would just be wonderful if we could somehow figure out a way to not be in the higher end of the most taxed counties.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. Do you have a response, Mr. Fuller?
Yeah, the only thing I would add to that is that I'm not going to sit here tonight and try to debate statistics that we don't have in front of us. But I will tell you the reason we don't have in front of us, but I do know that that was a huge factor. So as he talks about the tax rates and what the Montgomery County is compared to other places in the state of Indiana, yes, there is some taxes in Lloyd and things like that you see in Montgomery County that you may not see in other counties, but I also know too, I personally know from my own and from many people I talk to, in the amount of savings that we've seen, 9 and 10 times what we were paying some of our homeowners, on our property taxes for our homes.
Thank you. I want to remind the audience and the people at home watching on the web that if you have a question for the candidates, you can text those to 317-773-0839, and we'll get those questions to the candidates. The next question I have from the audience is, do you support tax abatement to attract jobs to the county as a tool to use in attraction? I believe Mr. Fullwiler, you're first on that.
That's a pretty simple answer. I guess my pause isn't long enough there, but that's a pretty simple answer for me. The county council approves those tax abatements, but yes, I do support them. That is a tool that you have to use. I'm telling you, you have to use it. Because just like we talked about earlier, when we talk about looking at these companies that have options to move elsewhere and take their jobs elsewhere, that is one thing that they look at. When I talk about them talking to the offices, whether it's the mayor's office, whether it's the commissioner's office, council, or what it may be, that's one thing they look for, and they get it elsewhere. And if they don't get it here, they're going to go elsewhere.
Thank you. Mr. Burns?
Yes, I think that property tax abatements are part of the puzzle that needs to be put in place with new businesses. However, what it ends up doing is it shifts the burden of the tax onto the employees of that place going down the road to pay it out of their income tax. And it is, because we do have a high county income tax compared to other counties also. So I think they really need to have some time limits, and I don't understand why we have companies that have been in business here for years and years and years and continue to get those abatements year after year after year. You think, oh boy, this is going to be great for the school district, a new business is opening up here or there, and that's going to help that school district out. Then you turn out they aren't really getting any of that money because they've gotten an abatement. It needs to be very short term. Essentially, companies end up being able to not have to pay their fair share to operate within our county.
Thank you. Mr. Burns, did you have a response, Ms. Fuller?
Yeah, and on most tax abatements, sometimes it does seem like they go on forever, but really, your standard tax abatements on a lot of times on new development is a 10-year abatement. That's a staggered abatement. They start out with a percentage of 90% and decrease every year down until the 9th year when they're at 10%, and then obviously the 10th year they go on to the tax roll at a full 100%. So yes, maybe it does seem like a long period of time, but what you got to remember is every year that is decreasing on the amount that they get as far as percentage, and more taxes coming into the community. So yes, it starts out high at 100% the first year, and then most of them decline 10% per year. What you also got to remember is some of these companies that that Patrick's referring to that does seem like they're on a long period of time is because they're doing expansions, just what we talked about. I think his employer is probably one of the most recent ones as far as an expansion. Random House is doing a large expansion and adding jobs out there. And when they do that, they do come back for more tax abatement. They're adding more equipment, they're adding more property to their business, and they're also adding more jobs. So, whether it's bringing in 200-300 jobs like that or what it may be, but it's not an initial tax abatement is the only thing you see. There is times when they come back for additional tax abatements as they add more employees. And believe me, as I said, that's a piece of the puzzle, because they do have options to move on down the road and take that business somewhere else, whether it's the expansion part or sometimes maybe the whole business. And we definitely don't want to see that here in Montgomery County.
Thank you, Mr. Fullwater. Did you have a response, Mr. Burns? No? Thank you. Question, given the constraints of revenue that you previously talked about, would you be supportive of a public safety income tax to help fund public safety, which would be the Sheriff's Department and their activities? Will you, Mr. Burns, you first on that?
No, I wouldn't be in favor of an additional tax. The public safety is one of the very most central roles of the county commissioners, and there is no need to have it viewed as an excess or an additional responsibility. It's right there in the very center, and it deserves primary consideration when the time comes to decide how to spend what money is available to be spent.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. Mr. Fullwater?
Obviously, as you know, public safety is something that's near and dear to my heart, participating in it for the last 20 years of my career. But it's also a very important piece of our county, whether it's Montgomery County Sheriff's Department, Crawfordsville City Police, Crawfordsville Fire, or even the many volunteer organizations that we have that volunteer their time and their abilities to help in smaller communities. The public safety tax is something that is a very interesting tool that I think could be a huge asset to Montgomery County. When we passed the Lloyd tax back in 2007, I look at the senator because he sat on the county council with me at that time, but it's 2006-2007 time frame. There was an option for 1/4 or 1% at that time for public safety. The thing about the public safety tax is that most people don't realize is public safety is a lot broader than police and fire protection. public safety, and when you read into the print of the state statute, what it's allowed for, allows clear out to whether it's police, fire, courts, probation, so many things that if that 1% was brought into the county and you start divvying it out to all the people that are eligible for it, I'm not sure that the impact that we really need to make in some of our areas, get that impact. So I am in favor of looking at the public safety tax. It's something that we've talked about in the past. And we've even talked about, hey, if we add this 1/4 here and try to maybe see if we can decrease it over here to see if we can do a wash type thing. But like I said, the thing about the public safety tax is it's not just police and fire like a lot of people think it is.
Thank you, Mr. Fullwiler. Did you have a response, Mr. Burns? No? One of the questions from the audience is, you spoke earlier about the security issues at the courthouse. How do you feel about the loss of personal liberties that these new security measures are going to impose on the public? And I believe Mr. Fullwiler the first one.
Well,
The personal liberties, yes, is probably near and dear to a lot of people, but as I said earlier, I think that the important thing and the thing that we have to address is we have to make it as safe as a work environment and as safe as a public building as we can make it. And to me, that has to be our number one priority and our number one concern. Yes, I know that it'll feel like that it is a loss of liberty to some people, but we've had issues in that courthouse. Some of you may be aware of them, some of you may not. Within the last 2 years, that is kind of what really spearheaded this all coming forward and made us really sit back and look at the issues that we were possibly facing in the future if we didn't do something. So yes, it is, you do have a concern for people and what they think they might be losing, but it's also, like I said, the number one safety is the security of the building and the security of the people that's in it.
Thank you, Mr. Fullwiler. Mr. Burns?
When the public gathers to take care of the public's business, and it's important that everybody in the room feels safe. And if leaving your guns and weapons at the door is part of the procedure, then I think that's only fair. I don't think that it's a loss of liberty to have to leave your weapon outside the courthouse. I can't go with that argument that it's a loss of liberty any more than it is when you get on an airplane. Perhaps we're living in a different age when we didn't used to consider that as being a danger, and I'm not sure that, I think we can still say today that Crawfordsville is a safe place to live and a safe place to be, but I don't mind the idea of us being cautious about that, and I think that if it can be interpreted as a loss of liberty, it could also be interpreted as the opportunity for free public business to be conducted.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. Did you have a response, Mr. Fullwiler? No? Okay, the subject keeps coming up, so I'll ask it again. But someone in the audience wants to know, since the city is zoned and the 2-mile limit or 2-mile radius around the city is zoned, how do you feel it's a benefit or a disadvantage for the rest of the county to be zoned or not be zoned? You follow that question? Okay, the city's already zoned, or there's zoning in the city, there's zoning in the 2-mile limit. How do you feel that impacts the rest of the county when is there a benefit for them not to be zoned, or is there an impact for them not to be zoned? Another part of that question could be that if a company is going to site themselves or is looking at Montgomery County to be a new location for their facility, and they told you that they wanted to have zoning around their facility, would you support zoning at that point? So it's kind of a two-part question, but it still goes back to the zoning issue. I know that's not primary issue that we have here, but it clearly is number one on a lot of people's minds. So I believe Mr. Burns, your first on this.
Well, it deserves at least an answer, and that is that the 2-mile limit around Crawfordsville, those people are zoned without representation. They can't vote for the people who make the decisions. Well, let me back up. They can't vote for the people who appoint the people who make the decisions on what they can do with their land. And it goes further than 2 miles. So I don't think that's fair, and I don't think that they should have to be forced into that situation. I would like to see them have some mechanism to get out from under that zoning. So I don't like that 2-mile limit. As far as Crawfordsville goes, I don't think they can actually point to success with zoning within the city. It is more or less de facto. The industry exists where industry has existed for a long time, and it's where the railroads are and where the highway access is. So where do you make industry, when you zone, where do you make your collar in for what you're going to call industry is where the industry already is. So what's the point? It only ends, if you look in the paper every week, there's a variance coming up before the zoning board that is indicating that there's something that's not jiving. Okay, then as far as the business that wants to locate in and say over there along the Newport corridor, and they say, we'd like to see this zone. Well, sure they would. That way, not only the property they purchase do they have control over, but they have control over all the other property around. They say, well, I don't have to worry about anything happening next door that, if I'm an obnoxious tenant, would cause a problem. If it's not zoned and they become obnoxious, sure, they're going to have to deal with it. Why would we want somebody to have a business where they're allowed to run amok and not have to worry about the idea of what would make zoning good for that corridor would be so that the factory wouldn't have to worry about anybody next to them to be a problem, and also all the way to the interstate. They don't want any neighborhoods, they don't want any stop signs, they don't want anything to impede their truck flow from where they are to where they need to go. So I think zoning is all a bad idea, and I can't justify it in any case. And if that company would choose to leave, I'm sorry.
Mr. Bullmeyer? Bullmeyer first.
There you go. I tell you, the one thing, the two things, I guess, go back to the city being zoned, the 2-mile being zoned, yes, and it is controlled by, Patrick kind of alluded to, it is controlled by people that you, people who live in Montgomery County outside the city of Crawfordsville do not have the ability to vote for. Now, back it up a little bit, is yes, there is some appointments on certain boards within the city by Montgomery County for that situation and that issue. However, the appointments on them boards do not weigh heavy enough to impact the decisions that are made there. So we do have some appointments in those positions, but we don't have enough appointments that we control the board itself. The 2-mile zone is something that is an issue. It's an issue for the fact that, and I've talked to many people about this over the last 10 years when I've been involved, because they have had issues, they think, or they complain about things when they go to the city of Crawfordsville to address issues they have with that, but they have no representation that they don't feel, and I totally agree with that. I guess back to the question about, I'm not sure that it was clear-cut the way I really understood it, but would you be interested in looking at it if a company was willing to come? I don't think zoning is something you can just plug in one plot of area saying this company wants to come here, this is zoned this way. I don't think it works that way. It's got to have some boundaries to it. You can't just lay 5 acres and say this company wants to develop here and they want this to be zoned. So I don't know that maybe I don't understand the question clearly, but I don't think you can piece it out to say let's zone this because company A wants to purchase this and move their company here. I do know for a fact, and that there's 2 questions that you see every time when RFPs come in for companies that's looking to locate here. And I don't know if there's an order of number one and number two, but they are utilities and availability of utilities. And do you have any type of comprehensive plan in place? If we're going to invest millions of dollars here, do you have anything that tells us what's going to happen around us? And it doesn't have to be the bad side of things. You know, a lot of people like to think about, well, they like to talk. We don't need it because of this, you know, the bad issues. And Patrick, he started to touch on it a little bit, although I don't think he went on. You know, some things in the Nucor corridor. Go out there and look, say there's a 5-acre lot. Does Nucor or any of their facilities out there want a nursing home to come in that 5-acre lot and build? Absolutely not. I've heard that from them for a fact. I know that's a true statement. So I don't think you can just piece out and say here or there or whatever. You have to have some type of boundaries to what you're talking about when you're looking at it.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Did you have a response, Mr. Burns?
Yeah,
I will offer a little bit of a response, and that is, one point that was made is just you don't just do it piecemeal, it has to be every acre in the county. So that is one of the really negative things about the zoning idea to me, is the fact that in order to accomplish something in one place, or it's just a blanket thing that's done. And so that it would never work to do it piecemeal. And the other thing, if a person wants to open up a nursing home next to Nucor, do you think that business is going to be successful? You know, for a business to be successful, they have to use some sense about what they're doing, and that's really the reason why we have, without zoning, not had chaos, because there is a certain amount of sense and logic to how people make decisions, and it doesn't have to be made by a structure or by somebody else setting up a structure.
Thank you. We'll wind this down. If there's any other questions that anybody wants to ask, please get them up here to the front. Once again, if you have a question, you're not here in the audience, you can text it to 317-773-0839, and we'll ask the question. The next question that I have is, what do you believe are real-world ways that we can attract businesses to create more jobs in Montgomery County? What do you think the county needs to do most of all to attract new industry? And I think Mr. Fuller first.
I guess I hate to be repetitive, but it's going to be because the question leads to the things that we've already talked about. I think we've talked about infrastructure, we've talked about roads, bridges, drainage, all issues that companies look at in the location of Montgomery County. You know, we talked about utilities. Utilities is a huge factor. You know, we just had a Duke Radius site study that was done out on Nucor Road, and one of the big issues that was pointed as a negative towards that site was the fact there is no water, pushed to that area from the water facilities. So utilities definitely is a factor. Infrastructure is huge, and then like I said, people that want to come to Montgomery County are the key things they look at. And you have to have the infrastructure that allows them to get to and from. I think we're in a great, and we have a huge asset in Montgomery County, in my opinion. I've said for many years, we have still some pretty decent rail service. We have the interstate that runs along the north side of Crawfordsville and down the east side of Montgomery County. And we have the ability to say we have four state highways that intersect right in the middle of downtown Crawfordsville. So we have some good infrastructure in place as far as our main roads coming in, but we need to make sure that we lay the groundwork and have the infrastructure available. Just like we did when the Nucor wanted to come back in the mid-'80s. You know, that took some infrastructure, that took some work to get a road from the interstate, from the highway, that was accessible to the facility and available to get the kind of equipment and the kind of trucks and stuff that they need to get in and out there on a daily basis. Infrastructure, utilities are huge, and that's the thing that companies are going to look for.
Thank you, Mr. Fuller and Mr. Burns.
The thing I think that I agree 100% that those are the things that are the county's roles, the government's role to provide, and that But I think that when it comes to promoting Montgomery County and trying to attract businesses here, I think we should never overlook Sugar Creek. We should never overlook the agricultural base that we have here. We're like number 6 in the state or something as far as productivity with our farm ground. And you know, I don't think we should ever overlook the independent spirit that exists in Montgomery County, that has existed here for like 190 years, and is, you know, Wabash College was founded shortly after we became a county, and I think that if you look around the county and you look at what we already have, there's a good place to start with promoting Montgomery County. Long before you start looking at what we don't have. So it's a great place to be, it's a great county, and if we stay zone free and we continue to promote what we have, we could actually become a national experiment, something that could attract national interest, because who else is doing such a thing when everybody else is following the cookie cutter pattern?
Thank you, Mr. Burns. Did you have a response, Mr. Floyd?
Yeah, I do, and it's not actually, I wouldn't call it a rebuttal. I guess it's probably oversight on my part. As I said, I was going to be repetitive in something, and I guess the other huge factor that I would add to the two things I talked about was the thing we talked about a little bit earlier was the incentives, the tax abatements and stuff, is a huge factor. And I guess I'm very proud to say that not only the city of Crawfordsville and Montgomery County both have put into place in the last few years a policy in place that actually adds checks and balances to those people. They're reviewed on an annual basis to see that they're meeting the requirements that they're supposed to meet in order to maintain or to continue to get them tax abatements. So just because it's added as a 10-year tax abatement for a company when they come in, that's not a cut and dry to say you're free for 10 years, do what you want, because they are checked on an annual basis. The county council has 2 or 3 people that sit on that committee, and they meet with each individual one on a yearly basis to check and balance. Do you have the number of employees you said you would have? If you don't, why not? What has happened that has not, that has transpired? What's your plan to get back to that, to those levels? So it's not just something that's
that we may not always mention.
I can tell you that the state works very hard every day to create an environment to attract new jobs and new industry to the areas, and the communities have to follow along with that and partner with the state to get that accomplished. So yes, it is a partnership, and it is a big commitment on both sides. Okay, at this point, unless there are any other questions that I'm not aware of, we will allow the participants and the candidates to give their summation, their closing remarks. You have 3 minutes. And since Mr. Fulmeyer went first in the opening, Mr. Burns, you have the first shot at this one.
Okay. As I said in the opening comment, I really hope that as a result of this, you've been able to identify some clear-cut choices that exist between the two of us. It is my goal that by running as a candidate that there is a choice that can be made. If we both agree on everything, then that's very unfair to you and it's very unfair to the county. I would take the county in a slightly different direction, and that I hope you're able to realize that. If I get elected, it will mean that you have an independent candidate in the position of county council, or county commissioner, I'm sorry. The advantage to having an independent there rather than a Republican or a Democrat is that I don't know anything to anybody. I'm here to represent the voters of the county. And you already know that even if you all said 90%, we really want zoning, I'm afraid you'll have to wait until 4 years later to get it and get me out. That's the only way that would happen. But I think there's a lot of areas that you could see that I could be receptive to and would promote your views on. The way that I problem solve is I don't have a party platform that tells me what a collective group of people have decided we're going to represent as a party. A lot of times people would say, what are your politics? And that really is a difficult question for me because I have no politics. I take each issue and I try to critically think about it and try to problem solve it and try to understand it. The more I'm drawn to think on one side of an issue, the more I try to research the opposite side for balance. And it is not my intention to take a preconceived opinion, regardless what it is, whether it be personal liberty rights, and take it to the hilt and say, so everybody should be able to have a gun and let's all stand around in a small group and hopefully get along and nobody shoot anybody. I'm not interested in taking one idea and taking it beyond the point of reason. So I do critical thinking and I try to apply logic to issues. As a candidate, I'll never accept any money from any vendor. I'm not going to ever be beholden to anybody except the people who vote for me. And if I win this campaign, it will be the least budgeted campaign that ever happened, less than $500. So that's where I'm coming from, and I certainly hope that it fits in with your view of what you want to have.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. Mr. Fuller?
I would like to close the night again by thanking the paper of Montgomery County for hosting the debate tonight. I would also like to thank Greg Hunt, the staff at Crawfordsville High School, for allowing us to use this beautiful facility to take part tonight. I'd also again like to thank each and every one of you that came out tonight and gave a little bit of your time to hear what the candidates had to say about the issues in Montgomery County. I am happy to say I am a candidate that loves Montgomery County. As you heard us both say, I think we've both been here pretty much all our life. We love Montgomery County, but I feel like I am a candidate that has a clear-cut vision of what I want to see from Montgomery County. And I want to see Montgomery County move forward, to do the things that we need to do to continue to make it a great place and make it even a better place for the future. As I stated earlier, I enjoy working in local government and appreciate the opportunity to serve you in the last 10 years. In the last 10 years as your county councilman and county commissioner. I will continue to work hard to make the county a better place to live, work, and raise your family as your commissioner. Montgomery County needs to move forward and continue to improve on economic development in our county. We must continue to work on lowering our unemployment rate in the community. We need to work to bring new jobs here, as well as you heard me say earlier, we have to work to maintain what we currently have. We have a great addition in the new core corridor over the last couple of years in the addition of the sewer district. As you heard me state earlier, we have some work to do in that area as far as maybe some water and stuff like that we would like to see in the future for more impact on economic development in that area as well. With continued support of MCED by both the city and Montgomery County, as I stated earlier, unanimously passed our timeline and our goals for Montgomery County. We continue to work for positive impacts. We need to continue to work to better the infrastructure and development and allow our farmers to market their grain and products during all months of the year. I will strive to continue to see that Montgomery County makes infrastructure a priority, that the highway department uses the best practice to improve roads and prevent deterioration from current roads and bridges and drainage areas in our county. I worked hard while on the county council to see that your tax dollars were spent wisely. I will continue to support further efforts such as purchasing of goods and services with other units to save taxpayer money. We have laid the groundwork for more exciting times in the future. We have great working relationships with the city of Crawfordsville and other government entities. I'm happy to say in the last couple of years, working with the city of Crawfordsville, we've been able to move forward on a couple of old buildings that sits in the downtown Crawfordsville area. Although it may not look real visible yet from the outside, but the progress continues on the old Culver Hospital, which has sat vacant since 1984. That was an issue that had to be put in front of both Montgomery County and the city of Crawfordsville. I've been elected in Montgomery County 3 times in the last 10 years. It has always been my intention to work with the people and for the people. I will continue to do that in the future as well. I will continue to work and listen to try to find out what most of the people want while trying to make the best decisions of for Montgomery County. I understand the operation of the county and the budgeting process and the funds of the money that are used on a daily basis. The day-to-day work of many of the department heads within county government, I understand as I've worked very closely with them over the last 10 years.
I'm sorry, Mr. Fuller, your time's up.
3 minutes already?
This-
Wow. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Once again, I would like for all of us to thank the candidates for their participation tonight. Running for public office is not an easy thing, and they put themselves out for us, they're working for us, they're public servants, and I appreciate everybody that does participate in the process, whether they get elected or they don't, but just going out there and making the commitment is huge. Once again, I want to thank the paper of Montgomery County. Especially, I want to thank the 2 ladies who are runners tonight in the back of the room. And I want to thank you, especially for all coming out tonight and informing yourself on what the issues are and your questions and your interest. And I hope that you all vote. You can start already, I guess, because your voting has started. But at least by November the 4th, I hope you've cast your vote, and this has helped you decide who you're going to support. So once again, thank you very much for coming tonight. Tomorrow night, we'll have another debate here for the county council members, candidates for county council. So I would encourage you to come and tell your friends about it. Tell them that they can watch it on the web if they cannot be here. Once again, this will be available to view from now till the election. So the debate tonight is not the end of this whole thing. That you can watch what they said and get more information if you missed anything tonight. But thank you very much for coming, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow night. Thank you.
So did you kill him? No. Did you kill him 2 years or 4 years? 4. Okay.